So Jinx and Legolas, the two new Marksman Hero 4-color dragons, have now been revealed for what they are going to look like in game. And I have some very mitigated opinion. Of course, everyone is going to make videos about them and explore their skills in detail. So I'm going to go brief on that and give you my ideas of why I think they are very good on paper, but they actually might not be very good in the game due to the current state of the game. So I will explain my thoughts in depth. But first, want to look at Ruby. So obviously she is a character that looks very inspired like Jinx from League of Legends or Harley Quinn, which is what Jinx is probably inspired of. So a girl with two guns, or Lilia in marksman form, let's just say. So it's going to be a very interesting hero. I do find her rage kill to be incredibly strong, borderline actually overpowered. I think it's going to be one of the best rage kill in the game. And mark my word, people are going to be using this hero in a cav march, I am pretty sure, because of how stupidly OP this skill is. And just before I go any further in the video, I am going to say that if you are going to be investing in any of the two hero, she is way better than the other, the Legolas wannabe or Syndrion 2.0, let's just say. So if you are going to invest in only one of them, she would be it, because she is the real deal. Now, she has this volley that every second for 3 seconds she's shooting a ton of normal attacks, so they're physical extra normal attack, which if you think about the wording, it should mean that it counts as an extra attack or normal attack, which will be important when you go in the further skills. So this means that the target and 3 enemy legion, so we're talking about 4 extra normal attack for 2 seconds, so basically 8 extra attacks, plus the last second is skill damage. So now we're doing some different damage, like a skill damage factor instead of normal attack damage factor. This does make a difference because nothing in their kit boosts skill damage, so it's still a good damage, like 1100 times 4. Now this is all diffused, so the first target is hit by 1100, the second 15% less, the third 30% less, and the fourth 45% less. So it is good, but it's not like 4000 damage. It is a lot less. It's more closer to like 3000. But in any case, it is incredible. If you look at all of that, we're talking about 4 attacks at 300 times 2. So that's 2400 skill damage factor. And then we're talking about 4 attacks of 1100. So 4400 damage factor. All diffused, so a lot less, but it's still, like, on paper, it's 6800 skill damage. In reality, it'll be closer to the 4000 damage mark, I believe, if you talk about all the diffuse and stuff. And obviously her damage is not boosted for skill damage, but it is boosted for normal attack. So there are many things in the marksman kit, as well as our talents, which is precision, which does have a lot of that as well. So incredibly high amount of damage. Now, if you compare to someone like Yang Ming, he is a hero that does basically every 10 seconds. So because he doesn't have a rage kill, but every 10 seconds is ish when you have a rage kill, he does somewhere between 4500 skill damage to 6000 skill damage. So very close to this one, but less than this one. So this one is 6800. They're both diffused, so they both get nerfed by the same kind of thing, but it just shows you that this is a very high AoE damage factor for marksmen. This is something that marksmen never really had before, not in this category at least. So this is a Yang Ming of marksmen for sure. Like, this is going to be an amazing skill damage dealing marksman hero. Now, it's still a medium attack range hero, which in the current meta is not very good, especially because infantry is what I'm talking about. The current meta is full of infantry and blink infantry, like make way infantry going through cities. People are going in like balls with infantry all the time. It's harder than ever to do anything against infantry, except if you're a mage very far back, and even then you get blinked on like crazy. People are catching on with mechanics and stuff. So I am very excited for this hero's kit, but in the open field, the way the game is currently, I am not so convinced, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. The second skill is pretty good. When you enter the field, or when you enter battle, you get 20 rage every second. So 100 rage, which is 10% of your rage bar. But that's when you enter battle. So if you stay in battle for a long time, which you kind of want to do because of other skills, this is not coming into play a lot, but as soon as you city hop, for example, you will gain that buff. Now, after this 5 second, you gain 10% march speed and 10% physical attack. So both very decent stat, like 20% worth of stat. I mean, march speed is very, very good for marksman, especially because of the small range, so it's very good. So this effect lasts until battle ends, and you can re-trigger it every 30 seconds. So if you get out of combat, basically anytime you see your battle report merit at the bottom right corner in the mail show you that you have gained battle report or merit, this is when this effect is triggered. So I mean, it's very good to trigger it when you can because of the rage per second. The other skill is a very decent passive, 10% attack damage. So this is something that boosts directly her first skill, the non-skill damage part, and 20% def, which is decent. It's a good stat, 20% def, especially for marksmen, being that they are in close range, so they take a lot of hits, and then they get targeted a lot. And then lastly, here we have the Wild Bonfire, which is 10% HP as a baseline buff, so a good amount, a very decent buff. And then when dealing damage via normal attack or an extra normal attack, so this should take into consideration the extra 8 hits from her rage skill plus the extra 4 skill damage maybe. So in any case, it is going to, or it should work from her rage skill, which means that she has a 25% chance to gain 1 stack of Sparks Mark. Every time she fires a volley, she consumes all the stacks and does more damage, up to basically 30%. So if we look back at the volley skill right here, it is, 4 physical extra normal attack damage for 2 seconds. And then the physical damage diffuse, it doesn't really say if it's a normal attack. It might not be, but in any case, she's still dealing a physical attack every second. And then she's getting 4 extra damage attacks. So in 2 seconds, she'll have cast 10 attacks, let's just say, which means that out of that, she should have gained at least 2 or 3 stacks. And then for the next 10 seconds before her next rage kill, or let's say maybe 8-9 seconds, depending on how well this rage is going to be generated, you are going to try and get more stacks. So you'll probably have at least 2 or 3 if you're lucky. And then the other hero that she will pair with will come into play, as well as her Awaken, which gives her 25% chance to launch an extra normal attack against a random enemy within range, the furthest away, which is good because that means that she might be targeting non-infantry that are far away. But I mean, in general, she has a short range, so it will... it's really just going to be good. It's an extra damage every 3 seconds. So, I mean, it might cast every 4 seconds because 25%, she launches an attack every second. Mathematically, every 4 seconds, you're casting an extra attack. So, this 4th skill really is going to be very good. It will most likely be at, I would say, 2 minimum to 4 stacks on a regular basis if you only had her in your march every time she casts a volley. So, then the volley will be increased by 30%. But it's not clear if it's the skill damage or the normal attack damage or the entire kit. Everything is boosted by 30%, which is a huge amount considering how much damage it already does. So it's going to be a very, very high damage mark. It will blow out every other march out of the water in an AoE form, right? Like you do need to AoE multiple target. If you're targeting only one target, it's a lot less good because, I mean, we're talking about like 1700 damage factor. I mean, it's still very decent, let's be honest. Like, it's similar to like other marksman hero, like Kaelan and stuff. They do have a similar big burst damage, but it's really going to be AoE. If you're not AoEing, this hero is a lot less OP, but if you are AoEing, it's going to be amazing. Pretty similar to Youngmin, really. Like, Youngmin also has kind of that in his kit, of course. So AoE is the name of the game anyways, the way the game is played in the open field. Her kit also is going to be very good in many situations. You don't really need any other hero to make her work. So you will be able to pair her with a lot of different options to make her work, including Syndrion, who does a lot of extra normal attack, which will work well with the Wild Bonfire. Even Freygar has somewhat of good stuff. And of course, the other hero, so Kaelan, which is basically just Syndrion with a different armor kit. So, I mean, it's a very bland looking Legolas type hero. He is, in my opinion, very weak compared to her. He only has one skill that redeems him. He's also Garrison, which is completely useless for him, in my opinion, because his Garrison skill is not that great, but also it just doesn't work well. Like, his kit does not work well for Garrison with anyone. He doesn't really mesh well with Magrat, in my opinion, and then he has support talent tree. So, I mean, I don't really understand this hero whatsoever, but he is still going to be very good with Ruby, and it's more about her enabling him than him enabling her. What I mean by that, so the first skill is basically the same as Ruby in terms of it's going to be a lot of extra physical normal attacks. So 5 extra attacks every second for 2 seconds. So 10 extra attacks for 200 factor. So 2000 damage skill factor. Now this is only one target. It is not AoE. But I mean, it's still very good. 2000 damage factor is very, very good. Now the garrison skill, it's just bad. I mean, you reduce the enemy legion defense by basically 20%, and that will happen pretty quickly. And then when you're garrisoning, well, you just keep it. So that's it. You just 20% less defense on the enemy. Just good. You're doing more damage to them, but that's it. Like there's really nothing else there. So I'm really unimpressed. Legion marksmen gain 30% physical attack and take 10% less skill damage. So physical attack is very good. It boosts him. It boosts anybody who has marksman. And then 10% less skill damage is going to be pretty good because they are going to get targeted by mages a lot, as well as infantry has skill damage and stuff. Like there's a lot of skill damage in this game, so it's just a little bit tanky. It's very little tankiness though, but it's still something. Now the fourth skill, this is literally why he's good, and the only thing that makes him good in my opinion. When you're launching a normal attack or an extra normal attack, so again the first skill is 10 extra normal attacks if it's how it's working. And if that's not how it works, well, this hero can just go in the garbage right now because it would be complete trash. So, I mean, it must be how it works. The Legion has a 50% chance to gain a stack. Upon reaching 5 stack, all of them are consumed, and he deals physical damage, factor of 1000, and ignores 10% enemy defense for 3 seconds. So the ignored percent defense is very good. It's actually quite amazing. It's an extra buff, very good. But what's really insane here is the 1000 damage factor and the fact that there is no cooldown on this. So this means that every time there's an attack being launched, so every second, for 10 seconds, let's say, between a rage kill, so you should be casting this, you know, once every rage kill, because you're going to do 10 attacks, 5 of them are going to grant you a stack, you're going to trigger your stack for 1000. So every time he's casting a rage kill, he should be doing an extra 1000 damage factor. Now, as we said, the rage kill also casts 10 extra attacks. So when you cast your rage kill, you're doing 10 attacks to get to your rage kill. Then you do a 1000 damage factor. Then you do your rage kill. Then this gives you 5 more stacks because it's 10 attacks. 50% chance is half. You get 5 stack. So another 1000 damage factor. And then the rage kill itself is 2000 damage factor. Then you keep attacking for 10 seconds, get to the next rage kill, and it's the same thing again and again. So this means that every time you're casting a rage kill, you're doing you know, 1000 damage factor from having built this up over 10 seconds, 1000 damage factor from the rage kill giving you 10 attacks, and a 2000 damage factor from the rage kill. So is this incredibly high? Yes. It's still lower than Ruby's skill damage, so it's still a lot less damage factor, but it's one target and there's no diffuse damage. So I mean, in that sense, it's very, very good nuke. Of course, it might not all happen in the same second. Your 50% chance is still RNG. You might take 8 seconds to cast it. You might take 12 seconds to cast it sometimes. But where it really works well is because Ruby, as we saw before, has extra normal attack damage being casted every 3 seconds or every 4 seconds. She also has, you know, this thing where she does also many physical attacks, right? 8 extra attacks with her rage kill. So all of these should work together to make it so that you're casting a lot of 1000 damage factor. There might be a problem. As we saw from the video of the devs, they messed up the pet reveal completely in their video, which means that this also might be messed up in some way. It might be missing an internal cooldown. This can only happen every 30 seconds or something like that. I would say this can only happen every 10 seconds might be a fair one because like that would make it more relevant or more fair. If there is no cooldown, this is going to be insane, like for sure. This is going to be very, very OP, but you know, it's still that's it. Like there's damage and that's it. The rest of the kit is nothing. There's just damage. You're doing damage. The awaken is 15% salvo damage, so the 2000 gets boosted by 15%. So I mean, like let's say 2300 damage factor, and you gain 3 stacks of the mark upon entering battle. So this mark, basically you gain an extra, like, you know, let's say 600 damage as soon as you enter battle. Like you're pre-priming yourself. So I mean, it's very good. You're not going to be in and out of battle too often, especially if you're fighting in medium range, because you're going to be targeted all the time, and you're going to have AoE from infantry all the time because you're going to be blinked on by infantry all the time. So good luck with that. But still, I mean, you're still getting boost at the beginning. This is once again incredibly powerful, if you're city hopping. So all in all, these two heroes are going to be very high skill damage factor, and they are going to be better than many or basically every other marksman hero, I believe, especially if all of these normal attacks do work the way I think. There is also more of that stuff in the precision and marksman tree, so there's going to be very strong ways of making these heroes really good, but they are the definition of a glass cannon. They do damage, but they have almost no defensive whatsoever. If they get targeted by anything for 2 seconds, they will die very quickly, but they are going to dish out a lot of damage when they are not targeted or before they die. Now, marksmen in this game are in a very tough spot. If you have long range warfare, I would say this March could probably be the best March in the game, or at least very close to Youngming Thunderlin or Youngming Gromar, for example. This is going to be, you know, on the same level with long range warfare because of the amount of damage and AoE they do. They basically become a mage March at that point. But if you don't have long range warfare, I mean, you're still shit out of luck, because everyone and their mother is going to be using Kuma and Goresh and Blink and the Wolf Head and Make Way, and you're going to have people in melee range of you all the time. Now, being in melee range means you're attacking them. You're not doing a lot of AoE when people blink you. The whole kit goes out the window as soon as you get blinked by anything. Cavs are at a point in the game where they are some of the strongest marches and being utilized like crazy. So this is also a very poor march against Cav. So I mean, I do not have high hopes that these are going to be, oh my god, changing the game for marksman main. But when you do use them and when you get to hit with them, you are going to get incredibly high merit report for sure. Like, the amount of damage these guys do is absolutely stupid. It's miles above any other hero in the game, especially for Ruby / Jinx. I will never not be able to call this hero Jinx, by the way. There is just no way. It looks exactly like Jinx, and the only difference is she has red head like half of the heroes in this game for some reason. But it's just Jinx. Like, look at her, like, she's Jinx. Anyways, this is Syndrion's boyfriend, so he is going to be very good with Syndrion as well. This is the one thing that I think is going to be very nice about them, is they both will pair very well with Syndrion, maybe even Freygar. If you're not going to do Kaelan at all, which you really don't have to, by the way, because I mean, there's a fully wasted garrison skill and the Awaken is not that amazing either. You can just get Ruby maxed and pair her with Syndrion, and you're going to get incredibly good results. Taking a look here at the kit for Syndrion, I mean, he has a similar thing where he's going to launch additional normal attack every second for 7 seconds. This is almost all the time, so obviously every 10 second-ish, this is going to cast, or faster with Ruby. So you're going to get double the amount of attacks, which makes everything work in everyone's kit, the Ruby and the new guy. You also have this one, which when you fight at the beginning of the battle, you gain 3 seconds of extra attacks. And then you also have, when you land critical hits from normal attack, you do more damage, which is good, but there is, you know, a very little crit rate in the kit if you're using Syndrion, because you only get the 10% here, and there is no one else with crit rate. So, I mean, he does work very well, but he is obviously a Freygar wannabe mixed with because of the crit. But in any case, I mean, the amount of extra normal attacks that he enables, plus, you know, the buffs that he gives with the crit, the HP, and the attack here, they're all very good. There's even more attack here. So, you know, he gives a lot of buffs, and he will make them March good. So, Ruby, Syndrion, they are going to work well together. And Syndrion is also going to work well with the other guy, Kaelan, whatever. So, I mean, very doable, very decent pairs. They might even do well with other heroes like Zeta. I don't see it working so well with Magrat. I mean, it works fine. They just don't have any synergy. Magrat doesn't do AoE. Magrat doesn't do skill damage. As opposed to Zeta, who boosts normal attack damage and gives March speed and gives a lot of crit here with the crit rate focus, gains movement speed, gains physical attack. So everything here kind of works well. As opposed to Magrat, who has, you know, a little bit less of synergy with them, but still, I mean, it's going to be bad. She still does really high damage, and you know, she's just gonna not benefit from the rage skill gain, and there is no extra attacks being given in her kit, but she does have very high amount of stats. You know, 40% attack is up almost all the time. There's 15% normal attack damage, 20% HP bonus. So just here, we're at like 75% stats, which is way more than Ruby. But also, this is going to bring me to my next point. The amount of stats that these guys give, as I said, is very low. You get a decent amount of stats from Ruby. Like, you get As I said, 20% of stats here, you get 20% stats here, plus the 10% attack. So you're at like, 20 plus 20 plus 10, so 50. And then you get the HP, so 60. So you get about 60% worth of stat, which is lower than many other heroes. But where it really comes bad is Kaelan. He has nothing except this skill. So he gives 30% physical attack and then takes 10% less skill damage. Everything else is just damage. I guess the defense penetration, it's not going to be up all the time. So the uptime is not 100% at all, but it's still good when you have it. But there's nothing else in this kit that, synergizes with it. But anyways, it's still good. But we're talking about like, 30, maybe 40, 50% stat. I mean, the skill damage reduction is really not a stat that gives you that much. It will make you last a bit longer. But it's, if you're taking a full skill damage, you're still going to get hurt quite quickly. It's good against the AoE, but 10% is very low. And anyways, like there's nothing else. Like this is a wasted skill. This is, more damage for his main skill, but it's, that's it. More of the marks, more damage. There's really not a lot of stats. Like this entire March of Ruby Kaelan has basically 100-ish% amount of stat boost. If you compare that to Magrat Zeta, they have over 140% stats. And if you compare it to Youngmin Grimoire, for example, they have 185. So more than double almost the amount of stat that this March gives for a similar amount of damage outcome, though a little bit less. So, I mean, a lot of this March gives damage, but not a lot of anything else. There's a bit of movement speed and a little bit of stats for every stat, a little bit of HP, a little bit of everything, but not much in general. Like Grimoire herself gives more stats than this entire March together, and also has a 2000 damage factor skill, which is boosted by her stat by 40% as opposed to their little 10 to 20% here. So, I mean, it is a very, very good March, but there is not a lot of stats, and that does worry me, especially if you're going to do a Garrison hero. Garrison is all stat based because the amount of troops you're having, the more stats you boost, the better it is. I do not understand where they went with this hero. It is very fun to have this salvo of damage and this unlimited amount of like 1000 damage factor that can be cast over and over if you have obviously the rage kills triggering so many attacks and the passive and stuff. Like it's going to be very fun. You're going to be a lot of damage, but they're going to get melted down very quickly in short range. They're going to be the #1 target. They have no counterattack damage whatsoever. They have very little defensive stat, no healing, no CC. I mean, no movement speed debuff. They really have nothing else than damage. So, I mean, that's my one concern about them. So those are my thoughts about why I do not think they're going to be as meta as we would like them to be. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. They're going to be very, very powerful, just very niche, unless there's long-range warfare. Now, when long-range warfare is out, this is going to be the March, the #1 March in the game. It will demolish everything and everyone. That I am almost positive of. But without long-range warfare, I'm not sure. Feel free, obviously, to share your thoughts. And this is really what my opinion is. I have not tested anything. We don't have access to anything. These heroes will come out on December 1st, so still almost 2 weeks away. But this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm thinking. It's going to be hard with the meta of Blink Infantry everywhere in your face. All the stuns, all the cav bombs, all that kind of stuff. Having a very, very squishy glass cannon Jinx Marks is going to be hard to play with. And you do need her max to really get anything out of. He doesn't need to be max. 5-1-5-5 would be perfectly fine. The Awaken's not that good. The second skill is complete trash for anything else. Then Garrison, even then. But like, good luck getting that. It's hard. But I mean, I won't be wasting my Awaken for something like this so far. I mean, like the damage comes from this more than the rage kills. So the 15%, not that good. I mean, it's obviously very good, but it's just like, it's not that needed because what you're wanting like Kaelan for is this skill. The skill damage from his rage kill is good. It's like every other hero. They all have a rage kill that does 2000-ish damage if you count in the stats and stuff, or close enough. But like this is what the skill makes this hero good. Like this is it. So anyways, we'll see what it looks like. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Of course, my recommendation is obviously wait when they come out to see how they do. They are going to do well. People are going to do very good reports, but see what happens when war starts and how quickly people complain about how getting blinked on with this March. I mean, even nowadays there's many archer mains who do struggle with the state of the game for archers. It's really hard if you are going to play archers. You're going to be taking a lot of hospitals and a lot of deads. You're going to be blinked on a lot. You're going to get you know, you're going to do good merit, but it's going to be very expensive, as opposed to mages who can sit back and refresh and not take a lot of wipes and do the same amount of merit. So I mean, it's just, you know, you're stuck hitting infantry a lot of the time when you're playing archers, which makes it really hard because they do a lot of counterattack damage. They also do a lot of damage in general now, and Kuma has a lot of healing. It's really hard to take down. And then this is all AoE, so I mean, if you're AoEing infantry, good, but they're taking so much less damage than everybody else. Like all of these normal attack damage factor 300, if it's divided between 5 mages or 4 mages, you're doing great damage. If it's divided between 4 infantry, you're not doing as much. Like, it's not that good. It's still good, but it's just not as good. Skill damage factor is good. There's very good AoE for that. But you don't always have 4 infantry on top of each other either. When you get blinked on, you're stuck there, and you're only attacking the person in your melee range because it kind of forces you to, which means you're not AoEing. So I mean, I am going to be waiting quite a while before I decide if I even pull on these guys at all. And if I do, it will only be Ruby for the beginning for sure, because her kit is really, really way superior to Kaelan. I would say she's at least twice as much better. Like, I would like Kaelan to be good, but I mean, other than his 4th skill here, his kit is so lackluster. 30% stat, and that's it really. Like maybe 40, let's say, but like he's just yeah, I'm just not impressed. Like, really gonna have to see garrison support. Like, what is that? Like, I just, like, against swarms, maybe like Ruby Kaelan is gonna be good in the garrison setting, but even like, just use Kuma. Like don't even bother. Like, as I said, long range warfare would make this one of the best, if not the best, march in the game. So those are all things to consider. The problem is that we haven't seen long range warfare in any of the new seasons for a long time now. So is it gonna come back? How, like, what's happening with that is very you know, up in the air. So I'm going to be waiting until I see more information before I even pull these guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.